now 18:02. I'm going to officially start this evening and declare that the Rotary Club of Kings Cross is now in session via Zoom. And we are recording this session once again as a reminder for all participants. I would like, if we could, just briefly to recognize our guests this evening. Thank you, Janice, for agreeing to address our club this evening. I'd like to also welcome Jill Held, our good friend who is always interested in women's issues and I'm going to say life in general.
Perfect.
Jeff,
thank you.
Jeff, is that a good way to describe you, Jill?
I'm happy. Thank you. Good description.
And Jeff Davey, who is joining us as a point of interest. Although Jeff is a member of the Rose Bay Club, he actually lives right up the street from me. So welcome, Jeff. Would you just like to say hello?
Good evening, everyone. What a wonderful array of ladies here. Look at this.
Aren't you lucky?
This is very impressive, Thomas. How did you manage to do that? Yeah, we've got only got a couple at Rose Bay. Excellent. Well done.
Well, it's all part of our club. It's a magical group. I want to also say hello to Bridget. We haven't seen you for a while. Glad to have you back.
Welcome back, Bridget from Germany.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, everyone. Yep. I won't tell you that I had 2 weeks of sunshine while you were all kind of like trying to hide from the rain here.
Wait, hi, Sarah.
Yeah, and Sarah Moses, good evening to you, Sarah.
Good evening.
Lovely to have all of you. As is our custom, we will be having a toast to Rotary International that I'd like to give this evening. And our toast to Rotary International is Rotary in the Ukraine. And interestingly enough, the first Rotary Club in the Ukraine was founded in 1929, but suspended during World War II because, of course, of the war and the difficulties, that the fact that the Ukraine was in the Soviet bloc. And it wasn't until 1991 that the Ukraine started to emerge with its own clubs, but at that time it was part of Finland and then part of Poland, Belarus, and the Ukraine. And finally, in 2014, it became its own district. It now has 60 clubs within the Ukraine and in excess of 1,100 members. Interestingly enough, the CEO of Rotary International, John Huco, was a founding member of the modern Rotary within the Ukraine and has a long history, both that from his family who emigrated from the Ukraine, but also that he spent a lot of time there as a lawyer. Talking about the Ukraine, I would like to also say that we as a club have established a direct contact with the Rotary Club of Warsaw City, club to club, and with the idea of helping them with the tremendous onslaught of war refugees which are pouring into Poland. At last count, there are about 4.5 million war refugees, the large majority of them being women and children. We speak with Warsaw every week. Right now, it's myself and Pete Merzak. We're trying to sort of keep it on a manageable basis, but we are recording all of our sessions and putting them up on our YouTube channel in raw data, because if you want to really see what's going on, go up there and take a look at it. For example, last week, we actually went into the refugee center, and got a chance to talk to some of the refugees. Interestingly, there was an elderly gentleman there who looked absolutely shell-shocked. And I had a chance to talk with him through the interpreter. And he was a war refugee from Mariupol. He'd spent the last 20 days in a bunker, had never seen daylight, very little food, very little water, and no heat, and said that whenever people went out at night to get food and water, some of them never returned. And it was heartbreaking. And I asked him, you know, what was he going to do? And he just casually mentioned that he had some relatives in Australia. So we have sprung as a club to try to bring him and his wife to Australia. He went upstairs and got his wife's cell phone, and there was a number in Melbourne that I called. And as it turns out, it was a family friend, blah, 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 blah. But anyhow, we're working hard on it to see if we can bring this unfortunate man and his wife to Australia. So I just wanted you to know that club to club, we're doing all that we can, and little bits help. I want to thank our speaker tonight, Janice Hall. Janice, it's wonderful to have you. And I'm going to ask our wonderful past district governor and friend of Judith Ward, friend of Janice, Judith Ward, if she would please introduce our speaker for this evening. Judith?
You're on mute, Judith.
Judith, you have to
You're on
unmute
mute.
yourself. Yeah, you're on mute.
Unmute, Judith.
Am I better now?
That's better.
There,
Judith.
oh, beautiful.
Now
Beautiful.
this is mute to me, so that's not real mute, the mute. However, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our district governor-elect, Janice Hall. I've known Janice for many, many years. Janice joined Rotary in 1995. That was 2 years after I joined. And I think we've known each other pretty much all those years, haven't we, Janice? We've done things together. We've been on committees together. Janice comes from a Rotary family. Her father was in Rotary for a very long time, wasn't he? And her sister's in Rotary, her brother-in-law is in Rotary. So she's very much a Rotary family lady. I don't know if our newer members know what exactly is the significance of me saying district governor-elect. It means that Janice will become our district governor on the 1st of July this year, and that will run through for 12 months to the 30th of June next year. I can't tell you a lot about Janice because if I started, I would take up all her time. I tell you, she's a very experienced speaker, probably lots better than me. She has a PhD, and welcome Janice Hall to the Rotary Club of King's Cross.
Thank you very much, Judith. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your invitation. I'm very happy to accept it. Pardon me. Am I able to share my screen? I have a few slides, if I may.
Yes.
At the moment, I can't because you've disabled the share screen.
Okay.
It says host has. Here we go. That might be better.
There you go, Janice. It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I will just get the. Oops. Where are we going to? Okay. No, not that one. Just got to find it. It always looks different like this. Here we go. Oh, I can't seem to find it on there. It doesn't. It looks different this way. Okay. Here we go. No. Okay, why can't I find my file? Where's Peter Muddick? Is he in the background? Why can't I find my file? Can I find my desktop? Right, hang on, that's weird. Oh, I can't seem to find it on the thing. It's there, I know, because I put it there. That could be tricky, couldn't it? Yeah, this is very interesting, but it doesn't. Okay, let's try this one. No. Well, I know it's there, but I just can't seem to find it. So very interesting. You know, I don't zoom apps. I don't zoom apps at all. Ah, let's see. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Let's see if I can open it first. Maybe that might be the way to go. Okay, let's do it this way. Here we go. Aha. That looks better. Okay, can you see that now?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Ah, that's better. Sorry about that. It's all this technology is, I'm still on L plates on all of this. So what I've labeled my presentation tonight is something that I'm very passionate about. It's called Growing and Sharing the Gift of Rotary. I do believe that I am very blessed by having been a Rotarian for so many years, and I see it as a gift that we can share with others, you know, through friendship and service and through many things. So one of the things, as one important goal for me as my district governor, is to grow the district, to have more members involved in fabulous projects and being really excited. And I'd like all the current members to fall in love with Rotary all over again. That's one of my aims. And then to share the gift of Rotary. So as we go through, we get more and more people involved. That's me when I was 4 and when my granny did my hair. But just a little bit of a background. I am a child of Rotary. My dad was a founding member of the Rotary Club of Corrimal and was the secretary, I think, for 18 years and the treasurer for the other 18, or something unbelievable in those days when you stayed in jobs. I was brought up with service above self, and also that, you know, you treat others the way you'd like to be treated. And so both of them have had a profound impact on my growing up. So it was very easy for me to become a Rotarian and consider lots of others, and to consider that they would like to be treated the way that I would like to be treated. Professionally, I was originally a teacher and I did my PhD in education psychology. So I'm a people watcher. The interesting thing about education psychology is that it taught me to recognize potential. And as a teacher, as a professor at the university, and now as a district governor, I am looking for potential in people, to support that potential, for them to come bigger and better Rotarians and bigger and better people. So I'm really keen on recognizing potential, tapping people on the shoulder and saying, would you like to be, or would you like to do, or maybe you'd like to join me in this. And Judith knows I tap her on the shoulder lots and she's involved in lovely things and it's wonderful. I was very blessed. I was brought up in Wollongong, and after the Second World War, there were so many immigrants and migrations and people who came to Wollongong. And so I grew up with children whose second names I couldn't pronounce. I was very blessed. I was brought up in a multicultural area where children with different ethnicities were just second nature to me. When I came to Sydney years later, I found it a little bit different, but to me that was really important. And so my education psychology background is recognizing potential. And I'm just going to look a little bit about my aspirations and my goals. Now, this is our vision statement. I don't think get one better than this, because it simply says together. That's my favorite word. Together. Together. We see a world where people unite. You know, we see a problem. We see a child who can't read. We see the war prisoners and the war immigration in Ukraine. We see people affected by the floods and the droughts in Australia. We see something happen, and we are people of action. We don't just sit back and twiddle our thumbs. We take action, and that creates a lasting change, and the changes across the globe, as you're doing in Ukraine, and as we are doing in Ukraine with the Rooks Project, in our own communities, and it certainly changes us. We feel good about the things that we do, and it certainly changes us. Now, this is Rotary's new strategic plan. I'm only going to talk about the pink one and the blue one because it takes too much. But the pink one and the blue one, increasing our impact and enhancing participant engagement. They're very, very close to my heart. Now, increasing our impact is simply getting a bigger bang for our buck. We do so much work in the community, and we're not very good at telling people about it. And we know worldwide that people are attracted to the attractive. People are attracted to us because we do amazing things, and most times on limited budgets. We have money that we raise and we send to projects or we spend on projects. But what we want to do, and what we're going to do in my year as district governor, we've got lots of people and strategies to work on, but getting a bigger bang for our buck by increasing our impact. And the other thing, I really want every Rotarian to fall in love with Rotary all over again. You know, to have a second look at it and think, wow, I really love what I do. I really love being involved. I love these people with whom I'm working and whom I'm having fun. It's really important to me. And wouldn't it be nice if other people were able to share that gift? So they're important to me. And of course, our 7 areas of focus. But you know, there's no project that we can do that doesn't fit into our areas of focus. And that's how we can get funding for it. All of the projects that we do, and our brand new one, which is supporting the environment, but the others, every project, it fits into some of these. And as you know, and I'll talk about that in a moment or two, my ambassador for empowering women and girls, well, it fits into two or three of these, certainly peace building and conflict resolution, and certainly maternal and child health, and certainly basic education and literacy, and it certainly goes into community economic development. It goes everywhere. So these 7 areas of focus, they're supported by our foundation, and we can grants just to support our project, but all of our projects fit in there somewhere. Now, I just wanted to give you this little quote. It's something that I've been carrying around for a while. But you know, Bill Gates Senior, you know, they're all multi-million dollars, but they was at a convention that I was at, and he made this comment. The International Convention in Salt Lake City, he's, you know, the father of Bill Gates. He said to the convention, he'd spent the last decade traveling around the world looking at monstrous problems. And these are his words. And it boggles the mind to try to make sense of how dramatically you Rotarians have changed millions of lives around the world. And we have, from the tiniest little project that we have in our own backyard, to the many projects that we've funded and supported in developing countries after avalanches, after floods, after tsunamis. We are always there, and we do, and every little bit. The metaphor that I like that someone told me about once is Niagara Falls. Many of you have traveled to Niagara Falls, and it is enormous. The noise and the volume and the tenacity of Niagara Falls is just overpowering, but it's made up of single drops of water. So we are the single drops of water, us little Rotary members, we're the single drops of water that through our foundation and through our funding and through the things we do, we are a complete Niagara Falls, and we will change things in ourselves, in our communities and around the globe. And how are we going to do that? Sending you very, very special individual invitations, and I want you all to be there, please. Very personal. President-elect, I hope Thomas or your successor or someone from your board is coming to the President-elect training, which is on the 30th of April at the Crown Plaza in the city. It's all day, and we've got Andy Rajpanska who's coming, who's the Zone 8 membership and engagement person, and he could sell ice blocks to Eskimos. He's incredible. So he's certainly going to be a hit there, and we have other speakers as well. So that's on the 30th of April. Our district assembly, where all your board are invited, that's on the 14th of May. That's 9 till 4 out at the William Inglis Centre out near Warwick Farm. And it's a huge, big 6.5-star resort, and it's just beautiful. So that's another day that I would like all of your board to come and attend. Now, if I go to the bottom one first, International Convention. Any of you, and I know Judith has been to probably more than I have, But any of you who've ever been to an international convention, you will never leave Rotary. They are mind-blowing. We're in a room with 20, 25, 30,000 like-minded people. And it just so happens in my year as district governor, we are having the great big huge international convention in Melbourne in the last week in May. So you just have to come. It's going to be a great party. We're also going to learn lots and meet amazing people, and you'll come back so enthusiastic. Your club will be double in numbers, just such an enthusiastic group of people. Which is the reason that even though we've just had our district conference in Jeremy's year in March, I didn't want another big conference in March or April next year and then ask you to all trundle off to Melbourne. So district conference this year is in November. So on the 4th and 5th of November at the William Inglis Centre, that is when our next conference is. It is just bubbles and cocktails and elite people on the Friday night and bubbles and all those nice things. And then the networking breakfast and a conference and a dinner. And you can sleep in Sunday morning. There's nothing on Sunday morning. We're just having the one day and the evening before. But have we got some high-powered speakers lined up for you? So I want you to put all those dates in your diary and please come. I would love to welcome you. That'd be just wonderful. I'm just going to read, one of the things that I'm really strong on is the values and the ideals of Rotary. And I just want to remind us, especially of the third and the fourth aspect of our four-way test. We have wonderful ideas and really great ideas about what we're going to do in Rotary. And one of the things that we do need to think about, does it build goodwill and better friendships? We can all have these great ideas and crazy ideas, but when we think about it, are we going to bring the club along with us? Are we going to bring new members along with us? Are we going to bring our community along with us? Are we going to leave a lasting legacy? And that's one of the criteria. I'm going to talk to all the presidents at president-elects when they come in, and all the kind of projects you're working on. What kind of a legacy is it going to leave? And to make it more personal to you, what will King's Cross Rotary Club leave as a legacy? And what will people be talking about 10 years from now? Way back in 2022, when the Rotary Club of King's Cross did da-di-da, wow, wasn't that fantastic? So we're going to be looking at our projects and how they're going to, what kind of a legacy we're going to leave. And of course, that leads me to the ideals of Rotary and the values of Rotary. And of course, we know about fellowship and friendship. And Shaker Mater this year has talked about, serve others. And, service is a big thing. Service above self, it's a big thing. I've just jumped to the bottom one, leadership. One of the things that I think attracts people to Rotary is the fact that they can get thousands and thousands of dollars of professional development once they pay their membership fee. Once we join, we have access to thousands of courses on My Rotary, and they are free to us once we've joined. And there are so many courses. And in addition to that, in our district, we have a thing called My Learning, which our Teach Learning and Development Director, Julie Colorado, has set up. And you can access that. You're a member. You can access it. There's lots of courses. There's lots of information, lots of ideas, lots of networking opportunities. So look, and because one of the things that we do need to look at in our district is future leaders. Who's going to take over when we go to the great Rotary meeting in the sky? What's going to happen then? We do need to make sure that we look at potential leaders and encourage them. And the middle one, the diversity, it is something that our incoming Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones, is really big on diversity. She talks a lot about that. And of course, that's the other amazing thing in my year as district governor. When I am district governor, the Rotary International President, for the first time in 118 years, will be a woman. So that in itself is a big celebration. And she's very keen on diversity. A little bit later, I'll show you another slide about that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But yes, certainly good things to look forward to. And this is just a slide that she said, oh, it was a great big book, but these are little key points that I thought we just might to look at. the new policy is called DEI, and we're good on acronyms, aren't we? But diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's really interesting because one of my compatriot district governors, one of our meetings, we were talking about this, and he got so involved and so passionate about things. And he said, you know, that's the wrong title. And we thought, well, you know, we are district governors. We can challenge Rotary International and tell them we don't believe what they're saying. He said it should be diversity, equity, and integration. And we said, why? And he said, inclusion is being invited to the dance. Integration is being invited to dance. Subtle, but big difference. And so, yeah, some people we invite them to Rotary, but we don't invite them to become a Rotarian. And so one of the things that we're looking at is how to break those barriers. And the phrase that Jennifer Jones said to us, we recognize that individuals from certain groups have historically experienced barriers to membership, participation, and leadership. And I'll just tell you one, because I love telling stories, one more little story. I was at the International Convention in South Korea, and I was sitting next to, as you do, you know, sitting next to somebody chatting, and she was the incoming district governor. And I was talking, she said, oh, I've got this great club. She said, we just started, it's really good. Whoops, sorry, I'll just shut that. My neighbour's dog is having a moment. And she said to this guy, oh, how are you? And, you know, would you like to join Rotary? And he said, I can't. And she thought about that, and she thought, well, people have said to me, no, I don't want to. I've never been asked. I don't have time. But nobody's ever said, I can't. And she said, why not? And he said, because I spend 12 of every 24 hours in an iron lung. Polio survivor. And she said, when you're lying on your back, can you type? And he said, of course. She said, good, you're my new secretary. They started a club with 36, it's now 112. It started on the ground. Now there's all sorts of people. They are diverse in all ways, shapes and sizes and everything. But there are long-term Rotarians who transferred over, new Rotarians. But the idea is people who have joined that club who may not have joined a traditional club. So that's just a thought I leave you, but I just love that story and I've shared it a few times. And this comes from one of my fellow district governors in America. When we were doing our district governor training, I never got to go to Orlando, very sore point. We never got there. Pulled the plug 2 weeks before with hotel booked, flights booked. No, we never got there. But we did a lot of sharing. And one of my friends from, a new friend now, and I love this phrase. He was posting this on his website and he said, Rotarians refuse to see differences. We reach across religion, politics, race, anything that divides, to join hands in service to all of humanity. When we pledged to eradicate polio, we did not choose a specific country. We did not choose a specific child. It is for every child in every country. And I just thought, to me, that epitomized something that touched my heart. So I asked him, could I borrow it? And he said, yeah, sure, share it around. So I'm just sharing that with you. And I really do believe that, you know, we are a multicultural society and the diversity is our richness. Think of the foods that we now eat, the clothes that we now wear, the movies that we now see, because of all the diversity that is in our community and all the different experiences we have. So diversity is with us, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that as we go through. And of course, one of the things that I really am passionate about is teamwork. And I think that you can see the word teamwork up the top where the K fell off because somebody walked away. And how many times have we heard, oh, we had this project and then the person left, or we had the project last year, but the president's moved on and the new president doesn't want to do that. You know, so this whole idea of teamwork where we collectively have some goals and we really want to do it, but we have to all work in the same direction. So just the bottom little square that I've used is, so the teamwork is the ability to direct individual or individual accomplishments towards the organisation, the whole of Rotary Club objective. And I just like that it is a fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And that was Andrew Carnegie who said that. And you've heard, you know, that Rotary allows, you know, small people to achieve great things. And you've heard that, do extraordinary things. And some of the examples of being a good team, I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just going to pick out two because they're two of my favorites. One of them is accepting responsibility. Now, communication and active listening and all of those, you know about that, but accepting responsibility. We are presidents, or we are governors, or we are on the board, or we're the secretary, whatever we do, or we're just Rotarians. But accepting responsibility for the change that we want to make and following them through. You know, sometimes you get a good idea and we splash it around and we're not walking our talk. So accepting responsibility for the kind of actions that we do, I think, is really important. And the other one that I want to talk about is empathy. You know, that old adage has been around for a long time. You know, I felt sorry because I didn't have any shoes until I met a person who had no feet. Now, that's been around years and years, but it's the sort of thing that we don't know people's backstory. We don't know why they are exhibiting these particular behaviour traits. We don't know why they've suddenly become sad or angry, or they become withdrawn, or whatever. You know, so empathy, I think, is a really big thing on working on a team. Yeah, just being conscious of what other people are doing and saying, and looking up. And that's what we do, aren't we? Fellowship and friendship. We look after each other. We have each other's back. And of course, this is my big thing. This is the title that Jeremy gave me. And I've had a lot of time to think about this. And one of the things, there will be an award, and we were just talking about that the other day, and it will be an award that's given out a changeover from the club. But I've decided I'm going to allow clubs to self-nominate for this. There will be criteria, and they'll be on the website, and we'll send them out, because there are so many clubs doing so many things that are already empowering women and girls, and I want to know about it. So I thought if we allow everybody to self-nominate, then I might get lots of information about what's happening. And it is about, in my way of thinking, empowering women and girls. We have a lot of frontline workers, and there are Rotarians involved in that. You know, there are refuges, and there are police protections, and there are migrations, and, you know, we look after our first responders to all of those things. And there's incredible frontline workers, and they're wonderful, and we want to use those as well. But what I'm looking at and thinking about is, so a young person comes, a migrant or a refugee or asylum seeker, or just comes out of prison, or just comes out of domestic violence, got themselves together. What's next? Here they are on a threshold of a new part of their life, and where to from here? So what I'm looking at, and I've got a committee, and please, any suggestions that you have, or the more suggestions we have, is how we can empower those women and girls. I know one club, I've learned, gives scholarships for the first year of TAFE, if a person wants to go to TAFE. Another group of clubs are buying laptops or iPads for people who don't have that. Another group of people are giving support through Vinnie's of getting extra broadband into their house. You know, some people have the very poor, even little things like that. There's so many ways. So there's lots of futures about that, and there's still a work in progress. But it's that next level of how we can make women, you know, proud of themselves and become achievers, become Rotarians. You know, for some of those people, they would think, oh God, I could never be a Rotarian, but why not? As they step forward and are starting, we need opportunities for these women and girls to be empowered and make some changes in their life as well as forward thinking. And of course, Amata Sen, she says, empowering women is the key to building a future we want. And that old adage about, you know, educate a man and you educate a man, educate a woman and you educate a village. Because the woman educates her children and educates sometimes the man as well. And we've got lots of stories about that. but I do believe empowering women and educating women, it's one of the key things that we need to do. And that's a topic all on its own. And of course, one of my favorite people is Michelle Obama. And I just had to use her quote, I've used it before. The success isn't about how much money we make, but it is about the difference we make in people's lives. And I think as Rotarians, we are very good at tapping people on the shoulder and making a difference in their lives. Now, as you know, I'm a teacher and I've worked in education all my life, retired about 3 times and always seem to end up back there again. But one of the things that used to amaze me was I'd be sitting on Central Station, for example, and this beautiful, tall individual would come up and say, hello, are you Miss Hall? And I'd say, yes. And this gorgeous, tall, lanky individual would say, you taught me in grade 2. Don't you remember? And of course, you've got to say yes, even though sometimes the memory's a little blurry. And I would say, wow, what are you doing now? And they'd say, well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a dentist, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm changing the world. And it was all because I had you in grade 4 or 5 or whatever, and you told me that you believed in me and that I could change the world. Apparently, I used to say that a lot to teachers, to kids and that. But so we never know when we plant a seed. Sometimes just in conversation, you plant a seed in a person's mind, might not come to fruition months, years later, but we planted that seed and they're going to make a difference. And of course, you know the starfish story, the little boy who's walking along, going back the starfish into the sea after the storm. And the old man says, what on earth are you doing? And the little boy says, well, throwing the starfish back. And the old man says, well, you can't do that. Look at them, there's thousands on the beach. You can't save them. And the little boy picks up one, throws it out into the waves and says, sure made a difference to that one. So I really do believe that we as Rotarians, we do touch people's lives and we're just never sure when it's going to be. We never give up. We're always talking about how great Rotary is, the friendships that we have, the projects that we do, and the way we can change the world. So we do it, one person at a time. Now, Jennifer Jones has said a few absolutely fabulous quotes, and I'm just going to use 2 of them here. She's given us lots of talks and lots of food for thought. But the one thing that she said way, way back when she became Rotary International President, delegate, nominee, whatever the words are, way back there, she said, if you want to live in a certain kind of world, you have to help build it. So we have a responsibility. If we want to live in a world that is peaceful and that is positive, where children don't go hungry, where children can read, where there's no war, where whatever it's going to be, we have to be part of building it. And I just love that quote. And the other quote that you talked about was, as we reflect upon our new strategic priorities, this is coming out of COVID, we could never have envisaged that our ability to adapt would become our North Star during what is inarguably the most profound time in recent history. When the world stepped down, we Rotarians stepped up. And that's what you've been talking about, Thomas, reaching out to people. And all of us have stories about reaching out to people. We step up when the rest of the world steps away. We're good at it. We're well known for it because we're people of action. And I'm just going to, this is the last little part, I'm going to talk about the different kind of clubs. We have traditional clubs and they're wonderful. Now that's really great. And we have the traditional Rotary Club and we have lots of those around the district. But the research is showing that our traditional clubs are declining and our membership is declining. And where districts have adopted these new style clubs, and you're going to hear a lot about it at our president-elect training, at our district assembly, at our conference, you'll be hearing me talk about it a lot. These different approaches to clubs, they're the ones, that's where the district is growing. And for example, a satellite club. You only need 8 members to form a satellite club. King's Cross could form a satellite club of 8 nurses in the area, 8 doctors, 8 lawyers, 8 restaurant owners, 8 corporate, whatever. You only need 8 people. Form a satellite club, because they may not want to join the traditional club that meets every week. The satellite club, they choose when they want to meet. They might only meet once a month and make twice a month, one for a meeting and one to talk about how they're going to change the world. So the satellite clubs, the e-clubs, you know about e-clubs, they're just based in the district, but they meet online all the time. And many of those e-clubs always go to international convention, because that's when they have their big meetings in international convention. And e-clubs can exist all around the world. You don't have to just stick to a district. And a passport club, we have one of those in our district, the Rotary Passport Club of Sylvania Waters. And that is where they don't have strict meeting times either, but they have it like that. They travel. They are involved in other, like you could ring up Passport Club and say, right, we've got this huge drive on, we've got this huge, whatever it's going to be, great function, we've got this great cause, we want to, you know, do domestic violence, we want to do kids against cancer, we want to do whatever's going, mental illness, homeless, and they come along, they go to other clubs to support them. It's like helping hand, get extra hands for your money. So that's our Passport Club. And the corporate club, Andy Rajapansky, who you will hear at Pels, and he's coming to our conference as well. When he was district governor, he formed 12 new clubs in 1 year. He did start when he was a DGN, I might tell you. It's a lot of work, but it doesn't just happen overnight. But he went into lots of buildings, because that's how Paul Harris started. Paul Harris walked into a building and got some lawyers and said, do you want to have lunch? And look what happened. 117 years later, we're still going. And corporate clubs are within a big building. And Andy's already started some in PwC, and he works in Barangaroo in the city. And we're working on getting some corporate clubs going, because they have lots of money and they have mandated volunteer hours. You know, those big corporates, people have to do so many hours volunteer. Why not do it for Rotary? And cause-based clubs, I'll give you a little story about that. I know it's not in our district, but another district. You know how all those, and they're mostly guys, but there are some women, they all go riding their bikes wearing lycra on a Saturday and Sunday morning. Now they all go out and pedal their little hearts out, and they go from Sydney down to Helensburgh and back, and you see them, they're riding along. God bless them, they're wonderful. I stopped for coffee everywhere. But there was a group of them, it's not in our district, another district, and people approached them, and so what they were going to call them the Rotary Club of Lycra, but they thought that might have been a bit suggestive. So I think they're the Rotary Club of Cyclists or something they're called, all different names. And what they do, they still go riding every Saturday and every Sunday. But the first Sunday of the month, when they meet, they actually, instead of just having coffee, they actually talk about a project. What will we do next time? What project will we raise money for? And of course, you've got 30 people sitting around a table. They've all got 30 ideas. So they've already got a long list. And then on the third Saturday or Sunday, when they ride, they get sponsorship. And they raise money on the second and third, on the third Sunday or Saturday. And then they have money and they can work on their projects. And they're still doing what they love. They're still riding bikes, still having coffee, but they're giving back to their community and they feel good about that. We've got Rotary Club of Nurses and Midwives. We've got the Rotary Club of Koala Lovers. Oh, we've got all sorts of Rotary clubs. Interesting. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we have alumni-based clubs, you know, the people from Raipen and Ryla and Rotary Youth Exchange, quite a number of them. And of course, we have Rotaract clubs. We've got a number of those in our district. And as of this year, Rotaract clubs have the same status as Rotary clubs. So, you know, bringing younger people forward. So there's a whole variety of clubs. If you want any more information, let me know. And we've got some chairs and some directors around who help you out. Only too happy to help. Only too happy to help. Just a couple of last little thoughts. You know, I do believe that together we can make such a difference in our world, just in our own backyards and right across the planet. You know, as Helen Keller says, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And one last story, because I love telling stories, one last story. I went to visit Nepal quite a number of years ago with a friend called Janice Reed. You may have heard of her. She's phenomenal in our district at raising money and building things overseas. And she built a hospital for cataract surgery. And we were just standing around talking to the Rotarians and a whole lot of other people. And one of the Rotarians said, well, now you built a hospital, we want to build a school. Can you build a school? And Janice Reid said, no, I can't. And she pointed at me and said, but she can. So when you get a finger pointed at you and you're standing in front of hundreds of people and they say you're going to build a school, so Mark and I said, yes, of course. And then looked at each other and thought, now what do we do? 18 months later, the school was open with teachers, resources, and everything, because alone we couldn't do it. But together, we came back to our district, we had some fundraisers, got some grants, and we built that school. So together we can do so much. And one of my favorites is, that true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. So when I become a past district governor, if I live that long, Judith, be a past district governor, if I survive, I want to know that I have left a legacy of really powerful, energetic, and wonderful leaders who are going to continue the amazing work of Rotary. We don't want it to die out. It's a gift. Let's share that gift with the next generation. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope that I only have 2 powers as a district governor. I'm allowed to inspire and motivate. Don't have any other power at all. But I do hope that I've inspired and motivated you, and that it's been a pleasure to talk to the Rotary Club of King's Cross. So thank you very much. And are there any questions or anything you want me to do?
Janice, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to open the floor to anyone that has questions. I've made so many notes, I don't even know where to start. So we'll start somewhere. And does anybody have a comment or a question of Janice? Please. Unfortunately, I don't have access to screens. I'm working on an iPad, so my screens are limited. So if you have a question, just start talking.
Put your hand up.
Yeah, just start talking.
There's some in the chat, which is lovely, and it says that
Janice,
people will be there. It's great. Lovely.
Janice, it's not really a question. I'm a relatively new member, 3 years.
Yes.
And I'm only now starting to lose the impression that I'm trying to drink out of about 6 fire hoses.
Haven't heard that one before.
It is just overwhelming when you start. It is, and I found it very disconcerting. And we had a couple of people come in at Rose Bay and left fairly quickly, and the sense was they were just overwhelmed. I mean, it's a great pity to go to all the trouble of getting somebody in and then not properly inducting them. And I think part of that is sheltering them from the bigger picture, because the bigger picture is just overwhelming.
Big family.
Yeah, I don't know how it can be packaged, but it's difficult.
But it's a good point, because retention, we do bring in quite a number of members, but we lose a lot as well.
Yeah.
And some of them go to a traditional club and they don't feel that they belong in a traditional club. So that's what we're going to look at, doing different kinds of clubs where there's not as much pressure, hopefully, and having really strong mentors in the club too. So that when I first joined Rotary, it seems like a long time ago, but I was given a mentor. It was a wonderful man called Ken Sutherland, who only just recently passed. And he was there for me all the way. Now, I was a child of Rotary, but there was still lots of things I didn't know. And we built a beautiful rapport, and I knew I could just ring him up. And as I've gone and grown in the family of Rotary, I have a number, like Judith Ward is one of them, that I have already this year, I think I've already rung Judith once or twice, but I've found people that I could very comfortably ring up and say, wow, what's this all about? Give me some background. What can I do about this? So I think people who join, we really need to bring them in and look after them, and because retention is just as important as introducing people to Rotary.
Yeah, and let me say, as a club president, Janice, that the ability to build interpersonal relationships is primary. Our club services I view as primarily pastoral to our members, and the ability to keep up, to talk to each other, even in this time of difficulty with face-to-face. We just adopt new platforms to be able to communicate. That doesn't mean that we diminish communication. If anything, we emphasize it. And, I understand exactly what Jeff's talking about. It can be overwhelming, but life by the inch is a cinch, and by the yard it's hard. So if you can carve up projects and things into small bites that we can digest, that's a good start.
Okay,
You're not going
thank
to
you.
choke on it.
Yeah. Judith, you had a question?
Yes, Janice. I think talking about new Rotarians,
Yeah.
and we've all been there. Mine was a very long time ago when there weren't very many women in Rotary. And the difficulty I think that new Rotarians have, and correct me, new Rotarians, if you're finding this, I think the older Rotarians or the established Rotarians make assumptions that new people know. They know what's going on. You say, we've done Rala, we're doing Ripen, Muna's coming up. And I think we need to explain or expect that our new Rotarians will be questioners. Please, when you don't, new Rotarians, when you don't understand, ask. I know because of my situation of being a woman, when women had only been in Rotary for 4 years when I joined, and I didn't want to make a fool of myself by asking questions. And so I'd sit there, and lots of times I didn't understand. I had a very good president who said, if you want to know more about Rotary, go to the district conference. And I did. And then the next year he said, if you want to know more about Rotary, go to the international convention. So off I went to France, to the international convention. Now our Rotarians have the opportunity to go to Melbourne. But please, new Rotarians, Janice, I'm asking for your support and encouragement.
Absolutely.
That ask questions. Please stop people and who are speaking and say, now, what did you mean by that? What does that mean? And I often told the story of I hadn't been in Rotary very long at all. But the news got around that I was a public relations person. So I got a phone call from somebody, a very nice gentleman who introduced himself, and he said, Judith, I've been talking to some people about you, and I'd like to invite you to, and I thought he said, to be a member of the District Rorts Committee. And now I was too embarrassed to say, what is Rorts? I wonder what Rorts Committee is. But I said, oh, thank you very much. That would be wonderful. And I thought, oh, yes. And I will, send you the details of when we meet and you come to the meeting. I very quickly found out that it wasn't the Rorts Committee, it was the Rorts Committee. But if I say to you new members, and correct me new members if I'm wrong, it's Rotary Australia World Community Service. Now, Rorts really doesn't mean anything. And over the phone, the word it sounded most like was Rorts. So please ask, because we love new members. We like to help new members. We want to embrace new members as much as we can during COVID, more so when COVID's gone. But Janice, what do you think about all that?
Absolutely. I totally agree. It is big. There's there's a book of acronyms. It's got about 6 pages long, and we tend to speak in acronyms sometimes, and we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't.
So absolutely speak. Ask. You know, you've got my email. It's in the directory, and it's all over the web. Shoot me an email. In fact, it was your Peter Mertzak who rang. He was only in the district 3 minutes, and he was on the email to me talking about Ryla. So he was very forthcoming. It was really great. So yeah, just shoot them up. And David, your AG, will be able to answer some questions as well. Just shoot them to us. I'm happy to come back and chat anytime. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Beautiful. Janice, on behalf of our club, I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for a wonderful talk. And you know, as I pointed out to you, the moniker that we had was Getting to Know Her. And I felt like tonight we've gotten to know you. So thank you for sharing not only the information, but who you are and what your values are, because that's really what it's all about. One of the things I constantly say is that our society totally mixes up similar values with similar interests. They're not the same thing. And you've shown us both your interests and your values tonight. So we're very, very grateful. I'd like to say to our members that the next 2 Mondays, we're not going to be meeting because next Monday is Easter Monday, and the Monday after that is Anzac Day. And our next full meeting is going to be face-to-face on the 9th of May. Yes, I know, everybody, it's face-to-face. And Dale, would you just jump in and tell us who our speaker is going to be for the 9th of May? I think everybody's going to be happy about that.
Sure. We have the lovely Tonya Barnes, Rotarian of many years, who we've heard before, who, like Janice, is a terrific speaker. And Janice, you are inspirational and motivational. I loved your section on empowering women. And very briefly, we have a terrific committee of young guys, 3 young men who are looking into how they can work helping young people with scholarships.
Fantastic.
So they will be empowering men and
Absolutely.
women. I know they'll be empowering both. And your idea of maybe an iPad, an iPhone, etc., hadn't sort of come into the brain, but it has now. So thank you so much for that. Tonya Barnes will be concentrating. She's International Director and District Governor nominee, but she'll be helping us with international ideas for projects where we need to work a bit more. And we have a couple of guys who are really interested in that, or both of them young. And she's also going to touch on Rotary's new avenue of the environment. So that will be a wonderful learning experience to us. And Thomas, if I can just briefly go through May, we have Rebecca Fitzpatrick, who is the chair of volunteers for Lose. And Janice, you may not know, Lose was a shelter and still is for homeless women and homeless and domestic violence, etc. It has gone from King's Cross to Redfern. Oh. The reason being, it needed a larger space with a number of women needing help. And they found that the great percentage of increase was older women. Yeah. And they had a little terrace in King's Cross. The older women with disabilities couldn't get up the stairs. A group of women from the Marmalade Foundation, professional women, over a number of years raised a lot of money, bought a warehouse in Redfern, and they've now expanded. So that's empowering women, okay?
Great, good.
One of our wonderful members who is here tonight, having been to Germany for her mum's birthday, and Bridget is back with us, and she helped us with a fundraiser, and it was called Raising Dough for Lose. And Bridget online on Zoom did a bread baking recipe and raising and whatever over 2 days. And we all joined in, men and women. We raised money, raised the dough for Lose, and were able to help them with their kitchen. So when Rebecca comes along, that's the 16th of May, she'll be talking on the volunteers they need, and they need to take female volunteers, and she'll show our group the Lou's new place, which looks amazing, and the kitchen where there's a rotary fridge and whatever. That will be exciting. And finally, very briefly, we have, you mentioned the Rotary Koala Lovers Club.
Yeah.
And we have the wonderful president, Zach Revere, coming to talk to us on the 23rd of May. And we're hoping lots of clubs will join in because it's such a wonderful new idea. And Jennifer Jones wants contemporary clubs.
Yes, she does.
And I believe the kangaroo, oh gosh, I'm sorry, not kangaroo, that's football. The koala will be used for the Rotary Convention, International Convention in Melbourne.
Yes, yes.
So Zachary is going to tell us what he does, how they help the koalas, and what they want to do as they are becoming extinct, have a vaccine like polio through Rotary to stop this thalidomide, I think it's called, going through the Rotary numbers. So it'll be really interesting. We hope everyone will join in and other clubs as well. And then on the 30th, we're hoping to have fellowship face-to-face again. So a fabulous month of May.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for everything. Been very inspiring. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's always good to hear what we've got. We're on the move, club members and guests, and we want you to be a part of this every single week and however you choose to join. And let me say that the thing that I got out of this tonight was the wonderful Passport Club, Janice, because we're in the process of putting together a volunteer hub. We're using, it will be a link on our webpage, and we certainly want to link to the Passport Club. I didn't know something like that existed, so this is a fabulous step in the right direction. So once again, Janice, I want to thank you for taking time to speak to us this evening. In the same way that we learned about you, we hope that you've learned a little bit about us, about what makes us tick, what we're doing, talking to our club members, and we're very grateful for your volunteer service as our next district governor. We're really looking forward to that year. It's going to be an exciting year.
It is indeed.
Yeah, and we're, as I said about Jennifer Jones, just have a seat because it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So club members, we're going to gather around, and Pete, can you put up the four-way test for us? If you can hear me?
Thomas, just one last one.
Oh, yes, David, of course, of course.
Just to let you know, Janice, we always have a monthly meeting with the district, and sometimes we share things that we do in our clubs. To let you know that, Bridget, I'm going to contact you. Jeremy is very much interested in the way you have been doing fundraising for our club, and they are more interested in how you did it with the Palace show. So I will get in touch with you and with Jeremy so that you explain to us what we did at the district. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Thank you, David. If everyone will put their microphones on mute so we don't talk over each other, I would be very honored if Judith, I don't want you to unmute. I want you to turn your microphone back on. That's it. And would you be kind enough to lead us in the four-way test to conclude the evening, this wonderful evening with Janice Hall? So if you will speak, all of us will mute and speak after you. So you're going to have to imagine us following you. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, thank you, President Thomas. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. Thank you, Janice. And we will not be meeting again. This is unbelievable. Until our face-to-face meeting on the 9th of March. We've got 2 successive Mondays that are our holidays, and then we have our board meeting. But we will be in touch with you as to our newsletter and calendar. So stay safe and God bless each one of you. Thanks again.